Hi there, and thank you for joining me with this webinar using mobile devices with Hosted Desktop. I am Nicky Shai, and I am a technical support engineer for Hosted Desktop. Following my instructions and guidance, you'll become familiar and confident with using mobile device to access and use Hosted Desktop. If you want to see this webinar again, this will be uploaded to YouTube later on, so please keep an eye out on our Twitter page for updates. If you do have any questions, please ask, and this will be gone through at the end if there's time. For reference, I'll be using two devices, a Google Nexus 4 on stock Android 5.11 and iPhone 5C with iOS 8.4.1. So on the iPhone, we would log into the App Store and then press the search button. And then you will see Parallels 2X Remote Desktop. Click on download, this will download the 2X application. This may take a moment dependent on how fast your internet connection is and how big the application is. Once it's downloaded, you can click on the button or go back to your home screen and then go to Parallels 2X RDP. When you load 2X, you can then click on the plus symbol, RDP. From here, you will see some options. So name is what you want to give the name, and then server is what you have been provided. In my example, this will be demo.hostdesktopuk.co.uk. Our own, so company.hostdesktopuk.co.uk. In port, if you have been provided at the end, a number at the end, you would put this in here. So if you have 3390, you would put 339, or if you got 3391, you would put 3391 here. In our case, we having 3389 as we're using the standard port. In username, this is what you'd log into Hosted Desktop with. This is typically first name dot last name. And then you would put in your password, which you log into Hosted Desktop with. Then in additional settings, you do not need to normally worry about these settings, but I will go through them quickly with you. So click when we go to display, you get graphics acceleration, which will use Remote FX, but will fall back to the correct one as we do not use Remote FX. If we change it to basic, it will open other options. And we can normally use 16 bits, which would be absolutely fine. Then orientation, you can set as landscape, portrait, or auto, which is dependent on how your phone is held at the time. Use optimized size will use the resolution of the phone to connect through. So example, if your phone has a resolution of 1920 by 1080, we'll try and use that to connect through. In local resources, we have sound redirection. So you can set it to redirect to the device or simply leave on remote computer. So if you want to play audio through Hosted through the mobile device. Then in experience, this is the same as your normal Windows client. If you have a bad internet line, you can turn off all the graphical improvements, connection speed, and set it to lower. So in our case, we're going to leave it. In network, for Hosted Desktop, there's nothing you need to configure here. In authentication, again, in here, there's nothing to change for Hosted Desktop, so you can leave on default. And then finally, There's nothing you need to change here to use hosted desktop. And then we will now log in. So once we log in, buttons at the bottom. So the first button is the mouse. It's handy if you want to left click. Is the keyboard. So if you're typing up a Word document. The third button is to hide the menu. Again, to bring back the menu. The fourth button is to magnify. And then the fifth button is to bring up another menu, which enables you to disconnect or session information. And this concludes the iPhone webinar. So you'd log into the phone and then go to the Google Play Store. I am going to search for 2X. Click on Parallels 2X RDP. And then install. And then accept any permissions it requires. Then after a short period of time, it will install and then you will have a bit open. So going back to the home store, see a new shortcut pop up. To add a connection, press the plus symbol, DP. You will be presented with a screen where you can change the settings. So alias is simply the name you want to call. Then server is the server name you're connecting you to. So typically the name.hosteddesktopuk.co.uk. In my example, I'm using demo.hosteddesktopuk.co.uk. The secondary server we do not use. In port, if you have a number at the end of your server address, you would put that number in here. So if you have 3390 at the end of your server address, you would put that here. Otherwise, leave it on default. In the username is what you log into Hosted Desktop with. So I'm going to use my login to log on to Hosted. And then you put in the password. And then we can go back. And then we'll see a new menu come up. So connection is the same we have just gone through. And then display, we've got graphics acceleration. By default, this will try and use Remote FX, but we'll fall back to the correct one as we do not use Remote FX. If we change it to basic, it will open other options such as color depth, and 16-bit is normally fine to use. Then orientation, this is landscape or portrait. So if you want to connect through having it in landscape, you can set it to always connect through as landscape. And then optimize size will enable us to change the resolution. So we can leave it on full screen and it will use the full screen. Otherwise, if you want to set a custom resolution, you can. Then going back into the menu, we then have got local resources. This is where you can set drive redirection. This can be to the micro SD storage or other storage you have got on your phone. And then custom path is a setting to only certain items are available. And we've also got sound redirection, where we can enable sound to be played on a mobile device. Then in the experience, this is same as in the normal Windows client. If you're on a bad internet line, you can lower the connection speed. Otherwise, you can change the settings custom through desktop background, font smoothing, and all. Then in network, for host desktop, there's nothing you need to change here. And then for authentication, again, there's nothing you need to change here. And then finally, in advanced, there's nothing you want to change there. So now we will log in. So going back to the main menu and then log in. And there we go, we're now logged into our hosted desktop. So at the top, you will see some buttons. So the first button is the mouse icon. So handy if you want to left click. And then the second button is the keyboard. So if you're working on a Word document, you can type away. And then the third button brings up the menu, which enables you to disconnect or view the details of the connection. So this concludes this webinar, and thank you for your time for watching.